How's it going, guys? I haven't been in the movie theater in basically the whole month of March, but I have, however, been checking out a lot of anime and just Netflix TV shows from the comfort of my own, dorm. So I thought, why not review those things I've been checking out as opposed to what I've been seeing in the movie theater screens. So starting off, I've been an anime fan for quite some time actually, but I haven't really got around to reviewing anime just because it can take a long time to watch a series and to review it. It's just, especially in the case of like my favorite anime of all time being Naruto, that's 400 plus episodes. So getting a review out in a timely manner can be quite an ordeal. But I just finished watching an all-time classic anime, namely Death Note, which was only about 32 episodes. So very, very digestible. I finished it in a single weekend and I had a great time watching it. Death Note follows the story of Light Yagami, a high school senior who finds, just walking home from school, he finds a notebook that grants him the power to kill anyone in the world he so chooses if he knows their full name and their face. So Death Note, he basically starts off as a god complex character. He finds his notebook and he right off the bat decides that he wants to wipe out all the criminals in the world and create a reformed world that is completely just, and he wants to become the god of this new world. He wants people to know that he's inflicting judgment on them. He wants people to know that they need to just live honest lives if they want to survive. And this god complex takes him down a dark road that puts him in the crosshairs of a mysterious detective named L, and of course the Japanese police force. So a lot of the story follows the cat and mouse game that L and Kira or Light have with each other. I love this show. Starting off, what's awesome about it is just the animation. Japan has such a unique style with anime that just really brings out the intensity of a moment. The characters are often very bombastic and very lively, and that's what I just love. You could definitely tell anime characters apart from American animated characters because they're just so different. They emote differently. They're usually more calm and collected, or completely just completely out there and very emotive and very expressive. I love the animation style of Japanese anime because it's very exciting. They always have very dynamic entrances. They have very over-the-top openings and action scenes. So it's just extremely entertaining to watch for me. And the protagonists, the characters in this show are very, very interesting to watch. Light Yagami, the protagonist, he's very different than the typical anime protagonist in that his goal has to do with world domination essentially and becoming the god of this new world. He starts off very cold and calculating, and some of the best moments the series has to offer is when you know he has a plan, you see the steps of the plan going one step at a time, and he just completely one-ups everyone with his just brilliance. He's a very calculating and very intelligent character, and he's very methodical, kind of like his rival in being L. L is a detective that's very unorthodox. He has a penchant for sweets. There's hardly a scene that goes by in which he's not eating a piece of cake and he holds phones like this. He's just very unconventional. He doesn't follow a lot of social norms. He's not rude to anyone, but he just doesn't talk to him normally because you can just tell by how cold and just quiet this guy is that his mind is just on a plane above everyone else's. And seeing the cat and mouse game that puts him in the crosshairs with Kira is very interesting. He taunts Kira, and seeing the first couple episodes, the excitement comes from how are they interacting with each other and one-upping each other without having even met. But when Light eventually meets L and they start working on the Kira case together, just seeing them, how their suspicions play off of each other and how they actually grow a friendship is very interesting to watch. These two characters that the show revolves around and just the moral battle that they have between each other, saying, wait a minute, if Kira's only killing the criminals, is he really a bad guy? Because as they come to notice, wars and just petty crimes, the rates go down as soon as Kira just starts his mass murder and killing spree. And so there's a lot of moral questions and a lot of moral battles that Light goes through. Like, am I doing the right thing? Is this really who I am? Is this Kira side completely engulfing me? And that's one of my favorite things about the show. It's very thematically rich, especially from the opening. from the opening itself, you can tell it draws from a lot of biblical imagery that really supplant the show's themes of just justice and divinity. And Kira himself, or Light, he has a god complex as early as the first episode. So the fact that he has this side to him that's completely egotistical. This show, that's a theme of the show that really deals deep with me. I love when anime does this very well in particular. They bring up a lot of worldly themes that are very relevant, and you're just like, oh, I never thought of it like that in the context of entertainment. So it's really awesome. This show is very thematically rich, and I love that. And apart from just the characters, the themes, it's a very intriguing mystery. Kira's out there in his killing spree, just killing anyone in the world he wants just by knowing their face and name, and just seeing the police force just completely surround him, because interestingly enough, Light, Kira himself, is a part of the police force with his dad, who's the police chief. So seeing them essentially work together to bust one of their own is a very interesting dynamic that the show plays on well. Of course, the show isn't without its flaws. There's several story arcs. Although it's only 32 episodes of hit or miss, there's a lot that goes on in the show, and there's several story arcs that aren't exactly paced the best. There are several story arcs that just don't feel right. They're just a little too slow for my taste. You know it's a part of a bigger plan, and you know the payoff's coming, which, oh yeah, that payoff is coming, folks. But because Light is always a step or two ahead of everyone except L. But just knowing that's coming, it doesn't necessarily excuse how slow some of these episodes can feel, especially when they're focusing on just the police force and their investigation of Kira. The show is at its best when it's Kira versus L and just them trying to interact and one-up each other without throwing the other off, suspicion-wise. But overall, this show is very awesome. I especially haven't even, as far as characters, I haven't even talked about Ryuk. So Ryuk is a Shinigami, or a death god, who gives Light the notebook, and it's very interesting seeing Ryuk and Light's their how they interact with each other, because the Shinigami being a part of the supernatural and seeing them look upon human culture is really interesting. Ryuk often acts as the audience surrogate, not just explaining the rules of the Death Note, but just looking inward to human culture and saying, oh, that's interesting, humans, we don't do this in the Shinigami realm and stuff like that. So it's really interesting just see how they interact with each other. Ryuk also provides some of the funniest moments of the series with his love for apples and the several withdrawal symptoms he gets if he goes too long. But this show is really interesting in just how it deals with the themes of divinity and the supernatural and justice, what truly is justice. It was really interesting to watch. I had a great time watching Death Note. Some of the episodes were a little too slow for me, but it was still a great time overall. I'm going to give Death Note 4 out of 5 stars. I'm going to start reviewing anime a lot more because I really love anime. If you have one that you want me to watch and review, leave a comment. I'll try to get to it. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching this review. I am Pac. Thanks for hearing my perspective, and I'm out for now.